Here we have a brand new character with the default Project 1999 UI. I highly recommend customizing your UI as soon as you create your character and continuing to customize it as your priorities and what you'd like to see change. First, let's resize the chat font size. I'm on a 1080p monitor and this font size is really too small for me to read, and with YouTube compression I bet illegible for you. So we say slash chat font size, all one word, space 5. This is the highest that it can go. The range is from 1 to 5, with 3 being the default. Next, for increased legibility, I recommend making the chat window, and really all of them, opaque. So in order to do so, to get to that menu I just got to here, where it says main chat window and you've got this little 4-corner arrow, you can right click, and we'll go over the rest of these options in a moment, but you want to go to the top where it says window, background, and texture. Click on that. Now this looks terrible, but don't worry. Go back to that same menu doing the same thing, window, background, and this time we're going to select tint color. I recommend making it black pretty much always. I mean, you can make it, something else that's kind of dark if you'd like to, in order to make it legible. Since so much is going to use white font color, you really need to have a very dark background or else it won't be legible. Unfortunately, the color of the font is not able to be changed. Next, let's cover window moving and resizing. This one's pretty easy. It's simply get to the edges, click and drag. You can see here this clicks only up and down. Sometimes Everquest loses that you're holding the click and it'll make it do something else. The 4 arrows means that you can move it around, and that works for most things. Now notice that target and say your personal stats up here cannot be resized. They can, of course, have their background changed as well, just like we did before. So for these that they can't be changed, I really recommend thinking really hard about where you're going to want them. What I'm doing right now is considered heresy to some, to have all of your important stuff right here in the middle. This is going to be your party window. This up here is your buff window. Whenever you have a buff applied to you, it'll show up here, which I will demonstrate by buffing myself. There it is. So you can resize it kind of to be just one if you want to, or you can make it large enough to have 2. Fortunately, I only have 1 buff, being a beginner. Now, to create extra chat windows, which is almost necessary in my mind, you'll want to go back over to that main chat area, right-click on it, go down to New Chat Window. I know it's really hard to see because of the see-through nature of it, but that's how that is. So this pops up a new chat window. You can resize it to how you like. You can also rename it. I'm going to rename it to Combat for myself. Now, clicking on that same area again, I'm going to call it the effective area. You can go down to Filters. And from here, if we wanted to make this a combat one, we could go through Melee. And you can see here you can individually check all of these different things and make them go to different windows if you like to. Warriors really like to have their critical hits in the main menu so that they can see it every time. I just click all. I do it for spells as well. Although sometimes I like to have worn off in the main menu, main chat box. So, of the different things that say here, scroll bar just makes it to where it'll always stay scrolled no matter what happens in here. So you basically are unable to not have it be constantly updated. You can never go back in time in it. I don't find a big use for that. But this will give you a new chat window. This will let you rename the window. This will have you always chat here. So even if I'm clicking over this way, you see the cursor always pops up in this particular window. Now, the reason why that's useful is if you use this down here, the channels option will change what channel that you talk in. So the only real things you should ever have it in are say, group, or guild. Everything else is you're going to spam people, and that's not nice. So that way you can always have it for no matter what you're talking in, it'll go back here.